My money's still on the husband, and not because he's white, but because this was her birthday trip. She went and got a new wig, got her lashes did, nails did, toes did, picked out outfits, and created an itinerary for her birthday.
Influencer Ashlee Jenae Robinson was on the vacation of a lifetime in Zanzibar off the coast of Tanzania. She had just celebrated her birthday. Social media posts show she got engaged on this very trip. But this morning, her death is under investigation and her family has questions.
And now
she was exactly where she wanted to be. That's what she told the world. On April 5th, 2026, Ashlee Robinson posted photos of herself feeding a giraffe in Tanzania. Rose petals on the ground spelled out, "Happy Birthday, Ashlee." Her caption read, "Chapter 31, and I'm exactly where I need to be." 3 days earlier, her boyfriend had dropped to one knee on an African safari. She said yes. She was engaged, she was 31, and she was living the life she had built her entire brand around. Her followers saw a woman at the top of her story. Nobody knew that in 4 days, she would be dead. And nobody knew that the man who proposed to her would be the last person to see her alive. Here is what we know. On the night of April 8th, something went wrong inside the Zanzibar resort. Ashlee and her fiance, Joe McCann, got into an argument. It wasn't a small disagreement. It was bad enough that hotel staff had to intervene. Management separated them and moved Joe to a different villa, a 10-minute walk away. Ashlee was alone. Hours later, a hotel worker found her unresponsive. She was rushed to the hospital, and then to a second hospital. She never came back. Now here is the detail that her family cannot get past. Ashlee's mother got a call that night. Joe McCann called to say Ashlee was in the hospital. He told her she was stable. He said, "Don't worry about it." He downplayed it. Then the call ended. Then silence. The family heard nothing more from Joe McCann for 11 hours. 11 hours passed while Ashlee lay in that hospital. And when they finally got the news that she was gone, it didn't come from Joe. It came from the hotel. Ashlee's father said it plainly. The fiance did not reach out to us at all. We found out from the hotel. That's devastating when your daughter is halfway around the world. Tanzanian authorities initially told local media that Ashlee took her own life. But her family rejected that immediately. Her parents said she had no history of mental health issues. They said she was excited, happy, and elated about the trip. Her mother said nothing about that conclusion makes sense. Her father said it just doesn't add up. And now, after an autopsy has been completed, the results have still not been released to the family. Joe McCann's passport has been seized. He is being questioned. No charges have been filed. And Ashlee's family still does not have a single official answer about how their daughter died. This is the story of Ashlee Jenae. And there are questions in this case that no one has answered yet. Ashlee Robinson's family is not waiting anymore. They are moving. Her father, Harry Robinson, traveled to Washington, D.C. to demand answers in person. He walked into the embassy and pushed until someone listened. He said it plainly. No one wants to talk to us. Just let us know what happened. That is the only thing we want to know. The truth. Her mother, Yolanda, said something that stopped a lot of people in their tracks. She said there is nothing confirmed. Nothing from the police. Nothing from law enforcement. No conclusion. No closure. Just an investigation that is ongoing because, in her words, it doesn't look right. The family launched a GoFundMe to cover travel costs, arrangements, and the financial burden of fighting for answers from halfway around the world. They set a goal of $50,000. They surpassed it. Ashlee's followers, the same people who watched her feed giraffes and show off her engagement ring, showed up for her family when it mattered most. That says something about who Ashlee was. People don't fundraise for strangers. They fundraise for people they felt connected to. And Ashlee had built that connection authentically over years. Her family is now preparing to travel to Zanzibar themselves, to stand on the ground where their daughter took her last breath, to look investigators in the eye, to demand the surveillance footage, to demand the autopsy results, to demand an explanation for the 11 hours of silence, to demand an explanation for why a hotel worker and a fiance gave two different accounts of who found her, to demand an explanation for why she ended up in a second hospital, to demand an explanation for why the man who proposed to her has not said a single public word since she died. Joe McCann has not spoken, not to the family, not to the media, not publicly in any form. His passport is still seized. He is still in Tanzania, still being questioned, still not charged, still not cleared. The silence from him is its own kind of statement. And the people who loved Ashlee are paying attention to it. Now there is something else this case has forced into the open. Ashlee built her brand around a certain vision of the good life. Beautiful places, beautiful moments, a partner who appeared to offer security and status. And millions of people watched her build that. They cheered for her. They celebrated the engagement. They liked the photos. But behind the curated images, nobody knew what was happening inside that villa. Nobody knew about the arguments that started the moment they checked in. Nobody knew that hotel staff were worried enough about her safety to file a police report. Nobody knew that on the night everything fell apart, she would be alone. That is not a judgment of Ashlee. That is a reflection of how much we never see. Social media shows us the rose petals. It does not show us what happens after the camera turns off. Ashlee called her mother the night of the argument. She told her they had fought. She told her the hotel had separated them. That call was the last real conversation her mother had with her daughter. And what strikes you about that detail is this. Even in the middle of whatever was happening in that villa, Ashlee reached out to her family. She kept that line open. She let her mother know where she was. That is not the behavior of someone who had given up. That is the behavior of someone who was still fighting to be okay. Her family believes she was still fighting, and they are still fighting for her now. The autopsy has been completed. The results have not been released. The investigation is ongoing. The footage has not been seen. The fiance has not spoken. And a 31-year-old woman who posted her last photo surrounded by rose petals and giraffes is gone. Her family has one ask. Not justice yet. Not charges yet. Just the truth. Just answers. Just someone in a position of authority who will look them in the eye and tell them what happened to their daughter in that villa on the night of April 8th. They are still waiting. And until those autopsy results are released, until that surveillance footage is reviewed publicly, until Joe McCann breaks his silence, this case is not closed. Not even close. Let's go through exactly what happened on the night of April 8th, because the timeline matters. Every hour of it matters. Ashlee and Joe had been at the Zanzibar resort for 4 days, and according to Tanzanian police, they had been quarreling the entire time. Not quietly. Loudly enough that hotel staff were aware. Loudly enough that management felt they needed to act. On the night of April 8th, the argument escalated. Hotel security intervened. They separated the couple. Joe McCann was moved to a different villa, a 10-minute walk from where Ashlee was staying. Ashlee was alone in her room. The hotel had done what they could do. They filed a report with Nungwi Police Station. They flagged the situation because they were concerned for Ashlee's safety. Read that again. The hotel flagged the situation because they were concerned for Ashlee's safety. That means the people closest to what was happening that night did not feel like everything was fine. They felt something was wrong. A few hours after the separation, a hotel worker found Ashlee unresponsive. She was in a closet. There was a belt around her neck. She was rushed to a nearby hospital, then transferred to a second hospital. She was pronounced dead on April 9th. She was 31 years old. She had been engaged for 6 days. Now here is where the questions start piling up. Joe McCann told police he walked into Ashlee's room and found her. But the hotel's account says a hotel worker found her. Those are two different stories, and nobody has publicly reconciled them. Then there is the matter of the second hospital. Ashlee was moved from one hospital to another. Why? Under what circumstances? That detail has not been explained, and it has not been dismissed either. It is just sitting there, unanswered. Then there is Joe's phone call to Ashlee's family. He called Ashlee's mother after Ashlee had already been hospitalized. He said she was stable. He said not to worry. He gave no real information. And when her mother pressed him and asked when it happened, he told her something had occurred 11 hours before that call. 11 hours. He waited 11 hours before reaching out. And even then, he downplayed it. Ashlee's family never heard from him again after that call. The next update they received came from the hotel. Their daughter was dead. Joe McCann said nothing. Now let's talk about who Joe McCann is, because his background matters to this story. Joe McCann was the founder of Asymmetric, a cryptocurrency hedge fund backed by some of the most powerful investors in venture capital. His estimated net worth was around $45 million. But in December 2025, just 4 months before this trip, McCann announced he was shutting down Asymmetric's Liquid Alpha fund. The fund had reportedly lost 78% of its value over the course of that year. 78%. That is not a rough quarter. That is a collapse. So the man who looked like Ashlee's dream partner on social media was quietly dealing with one of the worst financial failures of his career just before this trip. That context does not prove anything, but it is part of the full picture. And in a case with this many unanswered questions, the full picture matters. Tanzanian authorities initially told local media they did not suspect Joe McCann of wrongdoing, but then they seized his passport. They questioned him for days. They asked him to remain in the country. Under Tanzanian law, police can hold a person's travel documents without formally arresting them during an active investigation. That is exactly what they did. As of now, no charges have been filed. But he has not been cleared either. He is somewhere in between, and that is where this case lives right now, in the space between an official ruling and the truth. Ashlee's family has been fighting for every piece of information. Her father traveled to Washington, D.C. to push U.S. officials to establish communication with Tanzanian authorities. That pressure worked. Contact was made. The family was informed that the autopsy had been completed, but the results have not been released to them. They know the autopsy is done. They do not know what it says. The U.S. Embassy dispatched a coroner to assist with the autopsy. The State Department said it is monitoring the case, but officially no cause of death has been confirmed. The surveillance footage from the Zanzibar resort has not been publicly reviewed. Ashlee's parents said there are cameras everywhere at that resort. They said the footage would match the timeline. They said it would tell them what happened. They are still waiting to see it. A woman was found in a closet with a belt around her neck 6 days after her engagement. Her fiance waited 11 hours to call her family. The autopsy is done, but the results are sealed. The passport is seized, but no arrest has been made, and the surveillance footage that could answer everything has not been released. That is where this case stands. Ashlee Robinson grew up in South Jersey. She was the oldest of 6 children. Her family described her as a light, someone who loved being in front of the camera, someone who made every room feel her presence. From a young age, Ashlee had a vision for her life. She wanted to travel. She wanted to experience the world. She wanted to build something people could see and feel inspired by. And she did exactly that. She moved to Miami and built a lifestyle brand from the ground up. On Instagram, she went by Ashlee Jenae. Over 100,000 followers watched her document her life. Luxury travel, beautiful destinations, a curated world that looked effortless from the outside. Her content fell into what her audience called the soft life. The idea that a woman could live beautifully, travel freely, experience the finer things, and share it all with the world. Ashlee made that look real. Her followers didn't just watch her. They rooted for her. Then she met Joe McCann. Joe was 45 years old. He was the founder of a cryptocurrency investment firm called Asymmetric. His estimated net worth sat around $45 million. He moved in high finance circles. He was backed by some of the biggest names in venture capital. To Ashlee's audience, he looked like the final piece. The partner who matched the life she had been building. They traveled together. They posted together. And Ashlee's followers celebrated every moment of it. By early April 2026, the two of them were in Tanzania. The trip was everything. a birthday safari, a luxury resort on the northern tip of Zanzibar Island. A 5-star property called Zuri Zanzibar sitting right on the beach. On April 3rd, Joe got down on one knee. Ashlee said yes. She called her family on FaceTime to show them the ring. Her mother said she was happy. Her father said she was showing them where they were and what they were doing. She was glowing. Her last Instagram post went up on April 5th. She was surrounded by rose petals, a giraffe eating from her hand. Her caption said she was exactly where she needed to be. That was the last time her followers saw her. That was the last image she chose to share with the world. A woman at the peak of everything she had worked for. Engaged, celebrated, alive. What nobody knew was that behind the posts, something else was building. The couple had been at the resort since April 4th, and according to police, they had been arguing frequently from the moment they checked in. Not one argument, multiple arguments, over multiple days. The resort that looked like paradise on her Instagram feed was not what it appeared to be behind closed doors. Ashlee's followers saw the giraffes and the rose petals. They did not see what was happening inside that villa. And by the time anyone found out, it was already too late.